Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. We're joining you here on a nice Thursday evening, and we're going to talk a little bit of preview ahead of Liverpool against Fulham this weekend. You got the post-match crew with you tonight here. I'm joined by Ashley, Chris, and Kev to see how everybody's feeling coming up through the weekend. Ashley, another big game? They all seem like they're big games.
They do all seem like big games. I mean, I think given the last two performances, this game feels like a let's set it right performance. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. I don't know if you guys listened to Slot's post-match content from Girona in full, but he was not happy. He was not happy with the way that the team had played. So I'm really hoping for a response this weekend. I think that, we're due one.
Yeah. Chris, you agree with that take that we've got to kick into a higher gear at a certain point? Because we certainly didn't really get out of second against Girona.
No, it did feel a bit more like a just get through it performance, which maybe that's how the players felt. That's Slot's made it very clear that's not how he felt, which I quite like because he doesn't do it very often, Slot. He will sometimes say he's not happy with a performance, but just he didn't go in with the team and sort of go in and say, these aren't the standards that I expect. I think sometimes that's setting the tone ready for the Christmas period. So, but listen, Fulham was always going to be a difficult game. I think I was a quick look at our record against them. I think we've won 7 of the last 10 at home. But Fulham have got 2 wins of the last 10 visits to Anfield. So it always feels like a tough game against Fulham. It always feels like they make you work for it. And they've got a striker in Raul Jimenez, who is probably one of the few strikers that gives Virgil van Dijk a few issues, which shows how good he is. He just enjoys games against Liverpool. So I think what's helping us, I think they're missing a couple at the back, which will help. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, going to the game also makes it a bit more exciting.
Yes, and get you out of any post-match duties if we do manage to slip up. And
better wear the lucky socks.
Oh yeah. I'm taking Olivia. Olivia's record at Anfield's pretty good.
See, there you go. So we're laughing. Kev Sidney says Fulham feels especially dangerous right now. I mean, they're well positioned in the table. They're sitting 10th, but given how crammed that kind of middle section of the table is, one good result and you can jump up 3 or 4 spots pretty easily. But this isn't a team that it feels like anybody in the Liverpool fandom or involved actually at the club with the actual football is going to be taking lightly, is it?
No, they're well coached, good manager. He's been there a while now, so they're well drilled. Just looking back actually at the last few results against them, they've been tight games, there've been goals in them, both for both sides, but it's only been the odd goal in it. Going back, League Cup semi-final, it was 2-1 win at Anfield, 1-1 at Craven Cottage, 3-1 at Craven Cottage April last year. But the game at Anfield in the league was a 4-3, the ding-dong. It's like, even though they're missing players at the back, they have players in transition. And I watched them. They're very good in transition. Alex Iwobi looks like he's found a new lease of life. He's rediscovered a bit of form from that. Everyone knows he's got it in him. You don't get to be related to JJ Okocha and not have a bit of something about you and be able to turn it on every now and again. And he goes through spurts in a game, in a season, where he's really, really good. It's kind of the same with Adama Traore. He's about as useful as a chocolate teapot, but the one thing that he's very good at is getting down the wing and chipping crosses into Raul Jimenez. And that's his bread and butter. That's what he's been very good at for all his time in England. And with Jimenez in form, it's a tough. They can be a tough nut to crack, especially they'll come with the mindset of what we have with Holt kind of thing. Break us down, and they'll be kind of like Girona, but I think there'll be a better version of that. And we struggled to create good chances in that game. We created a few, didn't take them, but we're going to need to take our chances in this one. Yeah. It's nice to be at home as well, though. 3 o'clock kickoff is nice as well. Don't come around. We don't get that many of them anymore.
It seems like we've had a few kind of on the trot here because I usually quite enjoy watching 3, 4, 5 games at the same time in the 3 o'clock slot. But when we're playing, I'll only ever just watch us, so you kind of miss out on some of the other games going on. Brian O'Halloran here says, yeah, Fulham have got some dangerous ex-Wolves and ex-Arsenal attackers in Traore, Jimenez, Iwobi, and Emil Smith-Rowe. We can't take them lightly. And Ashley, Kev shared in our little chat, we have a predicted 11 for Fulham in there. And as strong as their attack is with those four, and then you have Sander Berg and Sasa Lucic sitting in the midfield, they do have some issues in terms of their back line, in terms of missing players through both suspension and injury. And that should make our forwards be kind of salivating at the prospects.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Diop and Cuenca, I think is how you pronounce it. Those are the two that I think will be their center back pairing. I looked into it a little bit. I don't think they have that much else. They have a U21 player called Amisa that they might bring in to be on the bench. But yeah, it's those two, Diop and Cuenca, I think have only played in the cup games together. They haven't really gotten any true Premier League minutes. So it's one of those things where they'll have had all week to prepare and play together, but they're not going to have Premier League experience. And going to Anfield is sort of like getting chucked in the deep end. So I would expect us to test them right away.
Yeah, the Cuenca character I'm not exactly familiar with. I mean, Issa Diop had a fair number of minutes for him last season, and he's a completely serviceable defender. But on the flanks, though, Chris, I mean, Kene Tete is a pretty standard, mid-table Premier League fullback. But on the other side, the man will be tasked with trying to keep Mo Salah quiet. I'm a big fan of Anthony Robinson. I think he's probably just a little bit too old for him to get a move to Liverpool, because that's the only team I care about. But I find him to be quite an impressive left back, and I think that's going to be kind of the key battle for us in terms of Mo Salah against Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, Anthony Robinson always seems to play well in these big games. He's good player, good fullback. I agree. I think if he was a couple of years younger, I think Liverpool would be sniffing around him. I am surprised a side that plays in Europe in the Premier League hasn't sniffed around, tried to get hold of him. I mean, let's be honest, Man United could do with a left back, so he'd do fine there. So yeah, he's fine. And Tete's a weird one. He's one of those players who seems to get an early booking, but he never gets himself sent off. But he does get a handy goal or two. He got a goal in the 4-3, which was the most maddest game I've ever watched. Because Liverpool crap in that game, just kept scoring bangers from distance.
Long range.
Just score long range hits because that's all we did. We did hit four beauties. Other than that, we were crap the entire game. Yeah, they've just got players who are dangerous, but they're one of those teams where if Liverpool play to their strength, play to their level, Liverpool will and should win. But they're just one of those sides that if you're slightly below your level, a bit like Newcastle, they can catch you out. And so I'm hoping the Newcastle one is a little bit of a reset for everyone.
Yeah. And judging by, even though we've gotten some good results, Arne Slot doesn't seem to be all happy in the garden. So it feels like he's not going to let the players be kind of resting on their laurels. Kev, it's kind of playing into one of the narratives from my advent calendar in terms of Liverpool catching teams at the exact right moment. This feels like another one. I mean, Kearney suspended from a straight red card. Bassey picked up an accumulation of yellows in his last match, so he misses this game. Harrison Reed out injured, Joachim Anderson out injured, Nelson out injured. I like it. I mean, you can have your narratives, media, and say that we're playing all the teams at the right moments. I don't give a crap. Like, if it helps us get the 3 points, give me the 3 points.
Yeah, that's a load of nonsense. That's somebody writing. That's people writing stuff to fill a gap in a column, because it makes absolute no sense. You play 38 games in a season. Sometimes sides are going to have injuries and suspensions. We're going to be missing McAllister as well at the weekend. We might have one or two back who could be on the bench, but we're not at full strength either, and we're asking an awful lot of players at the minute to keep going, and they're going to have to keep that going for a while. By the look of it, it's we're hopeful that Konate might be back earlier than we thought, but odds are I doubt he will be. I think he'll be back in and around the Christmas period at some point, so maybe a couple of weeks. But our squad has been tested, and it's gone under the radar this season because we've kept winning. You know, if you're in another situation where a few of those wins that we had were draws, and we're back into the pack, then, you know, our injury record gets probably a bit more credit than what it should get. You know, but as long as you keep winning, it goes under the radar. I mean, we're asking 5 defenders to fill 4 positions, you know, for 3 games a week. And we're asking 4 forwards to fill 3 spots for the same period of time. And it's just a case of we're just getting on with it. I understand Arne Slot might not have been happy with that performance in Girona midweek, but that's the kind of performance you get in away games in Europe when it's the back end of a group game, and it's just go and get it done. And you know you got a game at the weekend. That's what it kind of felt like. You know, we're back from a week's layoff. We've got the result in the bag. There was never really I felt the players looked like, you know, we've got this under control. We're comfortable in doing what we're doing. You know, maybe it's a kid he's using his post-match shows or his post-match interviews to stick a rocket up a few of them, which a few of them probably deserved. But I'm kind of relaxed about that and how we're playing at the minute. I think we're playing really well. We're playing within ourselves. It was great to see Alisson back. As much as I love Kelleher, Alisson just has that calming, reassured presence about him, and he looks $1 million again. You know, he looks like he's been off the barbecue. He's been on the Weight Watchers kind of diet type of thing. He looks fantastic, and I was really watching the behind the scenes stuff that they released today, and man, they all look in great shape. Especially when you look at some of the players who are in and around the squad and not really involved. You see some of the kids that were playing in the rondos today in the tiki-taka stuff. Shit, man. We've got some real talent coming through as well. It's a great time for us. It really is. Transfer window around the corner. You know that we're likely to be doing something. So the weekend is good. Getting a win under the belt. And I think there'll be a fair few players looking at a midweek break, you know, a midweek off kind of thing, and refocus, reset, and bomb into the Christmas period and just really take it on.
Yeah. It's in terms of the timing, like there's McGlinchey here saying it's good to see Costas out training, need to get him back so Robbo can get a much-earned break. That one is news to me. I'd seen that, you know, Ibu Kanate was spotted back in the building. Looks like he's walking under his own power, seems to be getting back to it. I mean, Ash and Kev's kind of right. Like, you get through this weekend, you can probably do some significant rotation in the midweek in the League Cup game against Southampton. And then it's starting to feel like we're getting those players, those injured players that nobody else outside of our fan base recognizes, you know, have been injured. It feels like we're starting to get some of those coming back online. You know, Diogo Jota, Federico Chiesa might be involved in the squad come the weekend. Kanate, Costas coming back. Like, we could be hitting our stride just coming into this festive period, couldn't we?
I mean, ideally, yeah. I don't expect those defenders to be back like in full contention probably until the end of December. So it would be like the tail end of the festive fixtures. But I think Jota and Chiesa are big. I mean, I don't know where he's going to dispatch Chiesa. I think all of us have kind of thought, you know, oh, he's going to be a direct kind of replacement for Mo in terms of just giving Mo a rest. And that would be great. But I also think he could play through the middle. You know, so I think that that's something to kind of look out for and just see where Slot sees him going forward. And the same thing with Jota. I think, you know, getting him in between the sticks again will be fantastic. I just want to see him on the edge of the box, not in between the sticks. That's a keeper term, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to see him on the edge of the box scoring, you know, between the sticks. But yeah, I think both of those is going to be massive. And I just kind of want to see the pressure getting taken off of Nunez a little bit. I think there was a lot of, I know we chatted about it a little bit in our post-match, but there was a lot of like, I don't know, like harsh messaging toward him.
There's a lot of vitriol, I think, of if you don't rate him, that's fine. Look, it doesn't matter whether people rate him or not, but that there is definitely a section of our fan base who seem to take pleasure in certain players not having a good performance. The "I told you so" crowd, I told you, and then you can tell by his messages. I mean, my advice to Darwin would be turn your social media off, or have a media team to look after your social media. But his tweet was telling, which is support. Thank you for some of you who support. It was clearly highlighted. He's aware there's an online fan base that is act like knobheads a little bit. But let's be honest, it's not the new thing. I seem to remember Gino Wijnaldum just before he left saying similar things. It's the way of the world, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Darwin's in that mode now where he just needs to be taken out of firing line for a couple of weeks. It'll do him good, and I think having a Jota and a Chiesa takes that pressure off. That's the benefit of 6. Was if someone's having a rough time, you could take him out firing for 2-3 weeks, and you don't have to worry about it, and then bring him back because he will play again quite a few times before the season's over, and it's up to him to take his opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate. I think you kind of nailed it there, Chris, in terms of certain segments of the online fan base, and they can't be going.
All fans have this element. It's not just Liverpool. All fans have this element.
There has to be a whipping boy, and like Jordan Henderson isn't here anymore. Curtis Jones has been playing out of his skin. Tsimikas has been extremely good. Possibly even taking the starting berth away from Andy Robertson. And there's not really anybody else that's there. And so it just kind of seems like the low-hanging fruit, but at the same time, he's starting to do my head in as well. I'll stick with you on this one, Chris. I mean, let's see if we can kind of pin down a Liverpool lineup here. Bonkers asking the very first question, Kelleher or Allison?
I think from the Girona game, the only thing he changes is Gakpo starts over Darwin, and we play Diaz through the middle. Otherwise, I don't think anything else changes. I mean, there was a thought Darwin might start because he was took off in the hour mark, but I just think he was took off because he was having a bit of a bad game. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything tactical or rested about it. So to me, I'd play the same back four, same midfield, and I'd put Luis Diaz through the middle, which against an untried back two, his trickery and his movements could actually be what we need against them. I think actually having a Darwin would want to have a battle with probably would suit them.
Yeah, I mean, feels like we're going to run through this in record time. Kev, are you of the same mind as Bracky?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I wasn't. But
all right.
No, it's for me. It highlights how threadbare the squad is at the minute, because I don't think he's going to do anything different. And I think he wishes he could. If Harvey Elliott was a bit further on and he played an hour already, then I think he'd get a start. Especially against a former club. I always like that kind of thing where players
they hate him as well, don't they, Elliott? He gets
Yeah, I get why. I completely understand why he does. Because we absolutely robbed Fulham for him. It's just we took the gamble on him because he was so young, and we're seeing the dividends of it now. And Fulham knew what they had, and they knew the value in what they had, and it's kind of sickened them a bit because a club like Fulham, they need to get top dollar for that caliber of player, and they just couldn't because we nabbed him. But I think I'd go back. I'd love to see Endo play. I'd love to see Endo start again. Not because I want him to start. It's because I want that option of having a midfielder who's at the club, who's an international, who's capable of playing. But it seems for whatever reason, Slot just won't pick him. So,
do you see his passing in the inside training?
Yeah,
didn't wear that. I don't think anyone knew he had that in his locker.
Yeah, I think he shocked even Virgil because Virgil was kind of like blown away by that one. But this is where you look at the January window and the upcoming summer window, and you're like, you got to give him players that he's going to play, that he's going to use, because one, they're taking up a wage, but two, they're taking up a spot. And if he's not going to use them, then there's no point. You may as well just have someone from the under-21s on the bench gaining experience of being in and around the matchday squad. And it's no way to treat any player, to be honest, because he should have played more than what he has played so far this season. And he's not alone in that. we kept Tyler Morton around for God knows what reason. Because again, unless it's for the League Cup, third round, he's been around for nothing. So we've wasted his time and our space in the squad. And look,
I think if you'd got the Zuckerberg deal over the line, one of them would have gone.
Yeah,
I know, but when you've got,
he's an insurance policy more than anything else.
He's a break glass from it, I think.
Yeah,
I know, but the problem is we've got McAllister missing. We're going to have to run out the same midfield again. And if we were actually taking the League Cup seriously, then that midfield is arguably going to be thrown out again midweek because the options are limited. McAllister comes back, but you're using playing three spots with four players.
And
Harvey makes it 5, but you should have more options. That you need more options than that, especially over a long season. This is only the start of the season. We're a third of the way in. There's still 2/3 of the season to come, and the business end is when it's going to get harder. You can't keep using that small core of players throughout potentially maybe up to 70 games in a season. You just can't do it. You won't have the legs. You will run out of juice in the back third eventually.
I guess the flip side of the argument, though, is that if, for argument's sake, we put out an Endo, Morton, and Elliott starting lineup against Southampton, I don't know if playing slot system that they would be successful. Like, they should be successful because it's Southampton, but we saw the game against Southampton in the league, and that wasn't easy. And I don't think that Slot looks at that. I mean, they're there as cover, and I wish they had the capability to play in this system, but I haven't seen it.
I mean, that's a transfer window conversation because really, it's this. It goes hand in hand with the people being like, get rid of Darwin immediately, and it's like, well, you can't. It's the second week of December. Like, you can't sell.
You can if you can find a buyer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you can shuffle him out of the squad right now. Like, he's going to be in the squad.
If Darwin's got hurt feelings because of how people are reacting to how he's been performing, then score the goals that you've created for yourself, or put away the chances that have been given to you. It's not as if he's missing terrible chances. These are really good quality chances that over and over again he can't score, and either he doesn't have the muscle memory to do it, or he's just not picking it up. And to come out and criticize people for the vast majority, I stick by everything that I said the other night. I stick by everything I said the other night. And you've got a January window coming up. If you get offers for him, I'd let him go. You'd have to. And if you get offers and you make a plan for the summer, you have to consider it now, because this is his third season. And it just looks like
you're not going to let him go in January unless you've got someone lined up to come in, though.
But you have to. It looks like he's regressing, mate. What the hell? You've got a director of football, and you've brought in like the wise man of transfers. They have plans upon plans upon plans.
That's what I mean.
They should have plans for every contingency, because what happens if Darwin has an injury, he's out for the season? They have to have a contingency plan for that. So they also have to have a contingency plan if they get a cash offer for Trent and he's refusing to sign a contract and he's willing to go to Madrid in January. We have to have a plan for that too. So
I know we all talk about we all have a plan, but it's very rare you see massive, big money moves in January. You don't,
especially when you're in all the competitions.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I think he goes. I think he goes in the summer. I think he does. I think he does
too. But he's not doing anything now. He's playing because we've got no other options. And
that's the argument is that's not suited to him either.
Yeah.
Like, I think what's being asked of him is completely different.
Yeah.
It only adds to the point of selling him then. But I think it's square peg in a round hole. Eventually, just take the peg out and throw it out the door.
Yeah, but I think it's also a bit disingenuous. He's got sore feelings because people aren't happy with it. I don't think he's got sore feelings because people are happy with it. I think some of the level of abuse and vitriol he gets is what he's got a problem with, and we've seen that. We've seen it with other. I think that's what he's got a problem with. I think he accepts he's going to get criticised because all footballers know they're going to get criticised. I just think there is a level for certain players that goes over the top, and Darwin's not alone in that. And look, he's an
one thing I will
person.
say,
Everyone reacts differently to it.
Ever since I come off social media, come off Twitter, don't see the vitriol anymore. At the end of the day,
Nice, isn't it?
It is lovely. It really is. I don't see the
This is
nonsense.
all the vitriol I get. It's just from you three. So
yeah,
I mean,
in all fairness, I did see a report this morning about the abuse that, and it was abuse. The Kyle Walker got.
It was vile what Kyle Walker got.
You know, and that's on Instagram, which is supposed to be the nice, fluffy, taking photos of your dinner and all that kind of stuff website. Far from it. You know, it's another cesspit. And it's like they're moving from one cesspit to another cesspit.
Blue Scout.
That was they all go that way eventually. But I've said this for years. The best advice you could give to any young professional player: hire out you literally give your accounts to someone to manage and stay the hell away from it. But you're talking to a generation who have literally grown up with that as if it's like
an extra
they're
limb.
left. Spot on, exactly that. And I see it with my kids. It's literally an extension of who they are, is their social media presence. So football players are going to be no different, especially when they get their ego massaged on a regular basis on there. But unfortunately, when it goes south, you get your ego absolutely battered. And but the best thing they can do is stay the hell away from it.
And people react differently, don't they, to that sort of thing. Some people it hardens and some people they regress. I think with the Darwin thing, I think it's a combination of, like, I agree with Kevin, not saying he's playing well. I do think confidence is a big thing in football. I think if he had a bit more self-confidence in his game, he might be taking a few more chances. I don't think he's ever going to be clinical. I think we could all agree on that.
Trust his game, does he? He doesn't trust his game. He looks like his confidence is at an all-time low.
That's what I mean.
I think he just needs a hairdo. Like, I think if he comes in and
he's got his hair
back and sides, he'll be a totally different player.
Well, you just want to match him again.
Yeah, yes, Dad.
He could plait his hair again, because that's when we won 4-3 when he had his ridiculous plaited hair.
Yeah, the double braids. That was some of the most awful hair.
I'd like Endo Stocks. He might score a banger again like he did last time against Fulham.
I like the little deer here saying it'd be some crack if Darwin scores a hat trick on Saturday now after all this criticism. There's actually a surprising number of people in the chat actually that are of the feeling that they'd like to see Nunez against specifically this Fulham defense, missing the players that they're missing and his ability to run in behind. But like, it's something that you said, Ashley, like, we just don't play to his strengths. And it was something I said at the start of last season that I really thought Darwin was going to kick on because of the way that Klopp had the team built with Trent playing those balls to be able to put balls in left foot or right foot when we're coming back towards our own goal, and then Trent can make that big switch over the top and use his pace in behind. And we just don't do that anymore. Like, that's not the style of game that we play. It's the difference that you get from Arne Slot from where we were with Jurgen Klopp for the 9 years before this. And it's unfortunate. And I mean, I said it on one of the chats that we were in. Oh, God, to have a prime Bobby Firmino. Like, just put prime Bobby Firmino just right at the top of this team, and we'll never lose another game ever again.
To be honest, if you had someone with Darwin's physicality and pace and availability with Jota's finishing ability, there's just, that probably does both things.
Well, then you'd have like Erling Haaland. So
yeah, that's what I mean. But that's ultimately what that's the dream of what we like. It's probably Jota and Darwin, both their best attributes combined into one player. But
we need Mr. Mephisto from South Park then to take them into a lab and just kind of splice their genes together. And
that would be a really weird looking guy.
Yes.
One thing on Fulham, their last 5, they have a draw against Arsenal, beat Brighton 3-1, draw against Spurs, lost heavily to Wolves.
Which is a weird
one. Beat Crystal Palace away. They're in good form.
Yeah.
I think they're sixth. I think they're sixth in the form table.
Yeah, sounds about right. But I don't think that there's no. I'll be honest. I'm kind of glad the Girona game came when it did, especially after the layoff, because I think some of the players needed that little break. But getting back out into the pitch after a break, you see it when they go away for internationals. We normally come away with results, but we rarely come away with top performances. but the next game we usually do kick on. We usually do kick into gear a bit. So really looking forward to it. But there's some games to look forward to this weekend as well, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part that we can go through. But before we do that, because it seems like we've all kind of agreed that the 11 is pretty much just going to be the 11 from last game with one change up top. How are we feeling about score predictions? Everybody in the chat can go ahead and follow. Burton Jab was in early with a 3-0 for Liverpool. Ashley, how are you feeling about the score outcome? And you know the rules. If you're predicting scores, you got to give us names.
I'm going 2-1 Fulham. Or not Fulham, 2-1 Liverpool. Sorry.
That
was not what I meant. That was a slip.
Dun, dun, dun. Breaking news.
Oh, no.
That's not what I said.
Clip that, Gav.
Trust the process, Ashley over here.
Yes. I'm going 2-1 to Liverpool with Fulham to score 1 goal because I think they've only not scored 1 time. I know. I'm sorry, Red Steve. I blew it.
Of all people to apologize, don't apologize to Red Steve.
I think the goal scorers, I'm going to go. I think Mo Salah is a sure bet, and let's go Darwin Nunez just to fight off the haters.
Like that, Chris. What's your thoughts?
I'm gonna go 3-1. Jimenez for them. I think Mo gets 2 and goes up to 4 for the goals in the goal scoring charts, and Harvey Elliott in the 90th minute just to really piss him off.
I like that.
That's my narrative, just because I like doing those ones.
Yeah, they do like booing Harvey. It's Kev. What's your feeling?
I would have gone 2-1 as well, but I got 2-0. Because it's the one thing I think that defensively we looked really good against Girona. I hope we can see that continue. The back four it'll do the back four really good to be. That's just downright mean, Thor. That is downright mean, man. But no, it'll do this back four and Alisson the world of good to get another clean sheet under the belt. But for us, Gakpo and Salah.
Stephen Lennon, we're not even putting your prediction up because that's just mean and evil.
Yeah, I will put Michael Murphy's up 6-0 walloping. I like the sounds of that. I think we're going to hit some form. I think we are due as well too. I think certain players are going to click, and we're going to start ramping into the festive period in a good way. I think it's going to be 3-0. Mo's going to score. Mo's going to assist Diaz, and Joe Gomez is going to score from a corner.
Oh no, he's not.
It's happening. It's happening.
I've told you, we know the circumstance when Joe scores.
So I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I'll tell you one thing on Joe Gomez. That chance he had the other night against Girona, he got a really good leap on him, and he's got into a really good position. And if the delivery is right, he'll bury it. Because there's so many sides who man-mark Virgil, block Virgil off. You've got Gakpo. If Gakpo starts, he's really good in the air as well. Szoboszlai, big, strong, good in the air as an option. You know, people underestimate what a physical side that we are at times. So, Joe Gomez getting on the score sheet, I don't think is as far away as what people think.
No, my thinking was exactly that, Kev, is from the corners, because he's this like almost meme now that it's impossible for him to score. I think teams are going to allow themselves, like maybe not on the first corner like against Girona, but after like the 5th or the 6th or the 7th one where it's been going to Virgil, I can see him just getting a little bit of space and a little bit of luck. You know, knowing Joe Gomez, it'll be chalked up as an own goal or some bullshit like that.
Like the Peter Crouch goal against Wigan.
Yeah. I like Joe saving his goal for next weekend to sink Ange, which is just would be absolutely hilarious. That would make Kev's weekend, I can tell you that right now.
Well, Joe score the winner against Tottenham, which is 3 yards offside, and VAR forget to give it.
VAR doesn't work.
That'd be perfect. Oh, VAR's down. Half an hour when Liverpool score an offside goal. That'd be quite funny.
Yeah. chucking
I'll tell you
grenades into the chat. The Limoncello Ultra. Salah's favorite player to play with after Bobby is Darwin. That'll do me, and I hope Salah insists Darwin staying is included in his new contract. That must be one of the three things that you were teasing there the other night. Kev, you said there's some good games this weekend. Which ones have caught your eye?
I think actually good watch. Good watches. Be interested, Joe. It's a shame it's on the same time as us, but Newcastle and Leicester. Van Nistelrooy's gone in there, and his first game in, they come from 2 down to get it back to 2-0, and players showing that kind of grit for a manager who is untried, untested at this level. Phenomenal player. People forget he goes under the radar as a player because he was a Manchester United player. He goes under the radar for a lot of Liverpool fans as to how clinical he was. I'll never forget when Bobby Robson had him at PSV, and he mentioned Bobby Robson today in his post-match. Sorry, his preview for the weekend's game to Liverpool. He was asked the question about how his favourite memory from going from St James's Park, because it was the one club that he scored more goals against than anyone else. And he instantly turned around and said, well, Bobby Robson, because Bobby Robson was his manager at PSV before Manchester United came in for him. And when he was at PSV, Manchester United came in for him, and he had the most horrific leg break, and it ruled him out for a year. And didn't know whether... Yeah, they waited for him, but they didn't know if he was ever going to kick a ball again at that stage. Because it's not like today's modern science and modern surgery techniques. When players got horrific injuries like that back in the day, it could have been career over for him. But the way he was beaming when he was talking about Sir Bobby Robson, was like, yeah, that's kind of like, you can't fake that because it was just natural. I'm kind of half looking forward to see what he does at Leicester, because he had a good start when he was managing in Holland. But the other one is Midlands Derby at 5:30. Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. Forest are at that stage now where you tend to see, every season you have that one club who exceeds everything where they should be, but eventually they fall away. And it's normally around this time of year. Sometimes it happens a bit earlier, but usually happens in December, where that club tends to fall back down to where they normally are. And Aston Villa are a club, they need to find their Premier League form again. If they're to get back into Europe for next season, which I think has to be their ambition because of the money they've invested, they need to be back up in the European spots to be able to keep that going. But for Saturday, yeah, there's no 12 o'clock kickoff, or there's no lunchtime kickoff again. So
could get Liverpool to do it.
Yeah, we weren't available. So if Liverpool,
it's five games Saturday, 5 games Saturday, 5 games Sunday.
No, there's a game Monday.
4 Sunday and 1 Monday night. Yeah. But they're the Saturday games that stick out for me, like sore thumb.
Yeah, Ashley, you mentioned the Chelsea Brentford game. Is it at Chelsea or at Brentford?
At Chelsea.
It's at Chelsea.
There might not be as many goals then. If it was at the G-Tech Community Stadium, it would probably end like 7-6 or 7-5 or something like that.
Kickoff as well, isn't it?
It's
late kickoff.
There's 2 late kickoffs.
2 7 p.m. kickoffs on Sunday.
Yeah,
well, I mean, like it's the new popular slot.
Yeah, it's because of the Thursday night fixture thing. I mean, Chelsea played this afternoon, our time, Irish time, UK time, but they were 5 hours behind where they travel. I think the distance traveled by Chelsea was about 18 miles less from London to New York than London to where they played.
So not that far then is what you're saying, Kev?
You're
talking with 2 people that live the other side of the Atlantic. Like, oh, okay, just a 5-hour flight then. That's not a big deal.
It was a 5-hour flight. I mean, look, this is the thing with Chelsea. Chelsea, after spending billion pounds, so they literally play with 2 separate squads.
They probably
it
left
was
half their team at home.
they 100% did
Well,
it.
three-
Yeah,
three
their
of the-
lineup today was like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
And
Well,
But
three
it
of
was
their
something
key-
like minus 11 degrees Celsius in the game they were playing. So
so it was
the thing
nice.
is, I think if the turnaround was they were playing in their normal 11, it's a 7 o'clock off in the Sunday evening is about the amount of hours gap between kickoffs.
Yeah.
Would have worked out about the same. Same with Spurs, because they played tonight. Because it's the league finished Thursday night. It's kind of like taking what Klopp said all those years ago to heart. That they want to have. You have to have a certain gap between fixture kickoffs to give the players the best chance to be able to recover properly. And it's a bare minimum, really, of what they're being given. Thursday to Sunday, 3 days. It's a 3-day turnaround. You have to have at least that. So I don't think it's
get early kickoffs though last year when we were playing on Thursdays? Like, I don't
No.
remember having
Not
late
Thursdays,
kickoffs.
but I think
not Thursdays.
we had some when we were playing on Wednesday in the Champions League, and we ended up getting the Saturday early kickoff when it was like, well, the teams that played Tuesday in the Champions League could have played that spot, but we're the moneymakers.
But I think that's when it changed, because the year that we missed out in the Champions League was the year it changed.
Yeah, when everybody
I'm glad it changed. I'm glad it changed. It needed to.
Yeah, but I mean, it would have been nice to see some camaraderie amongst the League Managers Association, as opposed to everybody just saying, "Oh, look at Jurgen Klopp's crying again," and then, "Oh shit, he's vindicated" at the end
That's
of it.
what he does, though. He steps up for everybody. He gets all the vitriol, and then 2 years later, they're like, "Oh, that was actually a good idea."
Yeah.
It's like the 5 subs. It's like you don't see that going away anymore.
Yeah, the definition of standing on the shoulders of giants. But I like your shout there, Ashley, because I mean, Chelsea in second place now. They have to be taken seriously as being in this title race. But few people pointing out like their record at home isn't very good. Brentford haven't lost to Chelsea since they've come back into the Premier League. Like it should be.
Brentford haven't won away this year, don't they? That's sort of a thing. Brentford are a mad side.
They're terrible away. Yeah, their home form is almost perfect, and I think they've got 1 win away.
I mean, they're only going like 12 miles over in like a different direction. They're not really traveling.
Yeah, tell them at
they
home.
can sleep at home.
Yeah, there should be absolutely no excuses. I mean, the other, I guess, the big game for me, I think, is also on the same time as ours. I'm kind of bummed about not getting it, being able to see it. Is Wolves hosting Ipswich, because if Ipswich get a win there, that's really creating some space in terms of the 3 at the bottom of the table.
That has to be Wolves' like last hurrah for their manager.
They have to get a win. I don't even think a draw is going to be good enough at this point. Like it's going to end up with Gary O'Neill getting the bullet. Then they're going to have to, go through that uncertainty of bringing in a new manager, maybe get a little bounce for a little while, but they got to hit the ground running. And at the same time, Ipswich desperately need to capitalize on one of these games where they get ahead or they're level late and stop just throwing games away. But
they've done it once, haven't they?
So Wolves have Ipswich, and then they have Leicester right after that, which that could like make or break the whole season for them.
Yeah, it's
a win for either doesn't take them out of the relegation spots, but it drags them closer to the sides above them massively. Because you don't see any of them pulling away. I mean, the only thing that's saving the likes of West Ham at the minute in 14th and Manchester United in 13th is they've got a gap. There's a little gap between Everton and them. It's 4 points, but 4 points at that end of the table is huge, especially when you look at the fixtures pile up that Everton have got coming. You can't, if Van Nistelrooy can pull a couple of results together. Same with Palace. You could leave the bottom 3 adrift.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it Brighton Palace this weekend?
I was trying to get onto that it's Derby Day on Sunday. You've got for some reason, a derby between Brighton and Crystal Palace, which I don't understand why that's
I think it's
massive story behind that. A lot of it's down to Terry Venables.
Something to do in the one of my ex-bosses is a Brighton fan, and he just said Palace, and he honestly could not stand them.
It went back to the days of, I think it was Tommy Doherty, and was it Tommy Doherty? Oh God, I'll have to look it back up, because they did a documentary. Because when we used to have Joe from Albion Obsessed on, he explained it brilliantly. But it was to do with Terry Venables and one of the Brighton manager at the time. I can't remember his top.
Alan
It was
Mullery.
that era. Alan Mullery,
Mullery.
yeah. It was to do with them, two really good mates. And then something happened and it really clashed. And it's like, yeah, you got South London and Brighton's only other close rival is South London. You know, so but it just blew up. And Brighton in the early 80s, I can remember Brighton getting to an FA Cup final. I think it was 81 or 82. It was 81, I think, because they played Spurs. Or 80, no, it was 82. And they played, might have been Manchester United because it went to a replay. But they were a really good side back then. And the rivalry just escalated and escalated and escalated. And the thing is, because both of them had been in the championship at the same time as well, it just kept going and going and going. And yeah, they really do hate each other with an absolute passion in the same way as
there's a history behind it, and it's not some weird fabricated rivalry.
No, it's like
at least
us and Man
sort
City.
of fun history behind it.
Exactly, yeah. It is actually seated in football. That's the whole point. The rivalry is seated in football. You know, it's just one of them. It'd be a good watch as well.
The result of that game. If there's a winner in that game, that's a big result at either end of the table, because a win would take Brighton up to 27 points, which would put them level with Manchester City. And then, as you were saying, Kev, that the gap there at the bottom between 17th and 18th, Palace currently in 17th, 4 points ahead of Ipswich and Wolves. If they get a win, and there's a draw in that Ipswich Wolves game, all of a sudden you're looking at 6 points to the relegation zone, and that's looking really tough for those teams because they just don't look capable of putting any sort of wins together. But
combined, they've got 4 wins between the three of them.
Man, we've got like 4 wins in our last 5 games. So much nicer at the top of the table. Let's talk the top of the table. Chris, what would you rather talk about, the Arsenal or the Manchesters?
Well, the Manchester's probably more interesting. The Arsenal, to me, it'll just be them moaning about injuries, then they'll disappear and they'll beat Everton 4-0. So I think the Manchester derby's going to be interesting because aren't City something like 1 win in 8 in all comps?
10.
1 win in 10. You know, 10. So ridiculous. So like I think they said it's their worst run since Stuart Pearce was in charge. That's how, you know, it's the worst run they've had since they've had the money. And United are just bizarre. I think it's like 3 wins, 2 draws, a loss. They won tonight, but they were shite.
That was awful.
By the way, if you haven't seen the goal United conceded, Onana has an absolute brain fart, worse than the Forest one. He just passes it straight to the striker. It's ridiculous. So I think they're going to have a competition of who can concede the shittest goal. Because
should be exciting.
This game could be anything, because if City play the way they can, and we've seen in this 10-run loss, you have looked at games where they should have been 2-3 up, and then they end up losing. And I just can't work out what United are trying to do at the moment, because I think that manager's got a big job on his hands. But I think what he can implement, he's not going to be able to implement until the summer. And that's proper training time. I don't even mean transfers.
Yeah. Oh, Jonathan, that is... Man, we got some mean comments tonight. Onana is a poor man's Mignolet. Ouch. Ashley,
at least Onana can kick it over the halfway line.
I mean, Mignolet could kick it out for a throw-in. So, I mean, that's got...
We'll let it go out for a corner.
Ruben interim. Damn, that's very good. Ashley, what's your feeling on the Manchester derby? Like, is City catching United at just the right moment, or have United turned a corner with that big come-from-behind victory today against Victoria Pilsen?
I mean, if you want to call that a come-from-behind victory, I don't know. I mean,
they were down.
That was jammy. Yeah, that's what that was. I don't know. I could see this being like a really awful draw. Like, I don't know who is worse at this point. I think they're probably meeting each other at the perfect place for both of them. Like, they're both probably equally on par with each other at this point in time, which might be interesting because I don't know. I feel like normally City is always the favorite, so it might produce an interesting match. I don't know. I mean, I was going to say, you know, maybe Man City will rise to the occasion of facing a rival, but you know, they didn't really do that with us. So I don't really know what their kind of driving force is. I think at this point, you know, someone's going to have to like pull themselves up by their bootstraps in that dressing room, because it looks like Pep's lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
Jonathan pointing out that Mateo Kovacic is back for City. That'll get him the win. Oh no, that's making fun of Onana again. Brian O'Halloran says, I think City will use the home advantage, revert to type, and absolutely hammer United. Sam Tandy saying City will hammer United. People will think City are back, but they ain't. Kev, any hope for Ruben and the Sandwich Boys? Or
look, they shouldn't have. Kovacic being back is huge. That Man City midfield is just, it doesn't move. It doesn't have pace. It doesn't have any legs in there, really. It's got football intelligence to beat the band. You know, there's the likes of De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. If you give them time in the ball, that's great. The one thing that Manchester United, I suppose, if you look at the central two he's got available to him, as long as one of them isn't Casemiro, they can run. But at the same time, defensively, that's shockingly bad. But two keepers, I mean, Onana is a disaster. He's the worst keeper in the league by an absolute country mile. United should have the pace to be able to hurt them on the counter in transition. If they can win the ball high up in midfield, they should be able to get at that Man City backline and create chances. Whether they can finish them is another matter. At the same time, Haaland looks like he's forgotten what scoring is like. They don't look like they've got goals coming from anywhere else.
Hey, that's my FPL captain you're talking about.
It's bizarre. And you make sure he stays that way.
He will stay that way. If I could triple captain him every week, I would.
It's a bizarre game. It's a bizarre game because the one thing you look at Man City, 1 win in 10. Pep Guardiola has absolutely no body of experience whatsoever in his career to deal with this. He has no clue how to deal with this. And you can tell with other managers, I don't think, like, I listened to a comment made by someone there the other day, and he said, other managers aren't looking on and laughing, but they're looking on saying, welcome to the club. Because every other manager has had to deal with this at some point in their career. Wolves are dealing with it now. Gary O'Neill would have dealt with it before at Bournemouth. But it just goes to show that football is cyclical. It does go around in cycles. And the cycle for this Man City side is done. It's over. And it needs massive, massive, smart money spent in the transfer window. As for Manchester United, you look at that squad. And if you're rebuilding a squad, they need to sell money to make profit because their PSR is shocking. They don't have that many players that they can sell to make pure profit. They'll never get Rashford at the club. So you're looking at the likes of Garnacho,
Amad,
Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes. Those are the type of players that they'll have to look to sell. At least, not all of
hated if they sold.
Not all of them, but some of them have to be sold to get the PSR back on side. And look, this is a club who decided to bring in Dan Ashworth and sack him because he had a different opinion to a guy who used to run a cycling team. You know, this is where they are. They've decided, yeah, we're going to scrap Christmas bonuses and give them a £40 Marks and Spencer's voucher and no Christmas parties for anyone.
That's going to save you That's going to save you loads of money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's shocking how that club is being run. It's an absolute disgrace.
You can pay Marcus Rashford's wages for a couple hours by canceling that $100 bonus to the staff.
In fairness, the players themselves should cough into a pot and say, "Look, thanks for everything you're doing behind the scenes that goes unnoticed, that keeps the show on the road. Have a good night out on us."
Yeah, it's so petty that it's like 100. You're going from £100. It's not like, I mean, £100 is a lot of money for people, but still, like that's where you're going to.
In the context,
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for the working people.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like the Glazers were giving out bonuses like Taylor Swift, and it totaled up to like 200 million or something like that. And
exactly.
A massive.
You're talking
amount.
about maybe someone's shopping for like a week. Like, let them eat.
Yeah, well, I guess those people should. I mean, you've had your $100, bonus canceled, and it's a $40 gift card now. But they're probably being told by, big Sir Jim Radcliffe, just be happy that you weren't fired, because 25% of the staff was made redundant. So, maybe they're being told to look at it positively. We can try to look at it positively before we get out of here. But Chris, I think they're just going to decide before the game that Arsenal gets 15 corners, Everton gets 7 corners. They're going to take those corners and not even bother playing the game, because Arsenal against Everton.
So they can make another mural of their set piece coach.
I'll be honest. that is the most cringy thing
they
I've
have
seen.
A song and a mural for a set piece coach.
This is what I'm normally quite laid back about things involved in football because it happens. But generally, let me off now.
That made me giggle.
Let me off.
That was great.
He's a fucking set piece coach. Yeah, it's all Roy Keane. It's his job. You should know who set piece coaches are, because I think every club's had a set piece coach for donkey's years. Just you never knew who the fucker was. Because guess what? It doesn't. That's what they pay the bill. That's not the be all and end all. I'll be honest. I saw it in the chat. Someone said it's going to be like watching the Royal Rumble. Arsenal, Everton, every corner, who gets thrown first. It's just going to be hilarious. I mean, look, I think Arsenal win quite comfortably. I know Everton are actually not in bad form, but I just think in this sort of game, I think Arsenal will have too much for them. So Liverpool just need to win on Saturday just to keep the pressure. So the game, they look at Arsenal, yeah, great win, you're still 7 points. The gap's not got any smaller, and just keep that pressure on. This is what Liverpool now need to do. Is it's like being in the City position. Put scoreboard pressure on. Just keep saying to people, right, you've got to win just to keep the gap as it is. You want to put that pressure on people.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I mean, somebody's had a comment in there. I missed starring it because we've had a pretty lively chat tonight. So good work, everybody in there. But somebody said, like, if the Ev managed to get even a draw against Arsenal, you are going to hear the Arsenal fans crying about how it's not fair because Everton had the weekend off because the match was canceled and everything stacked up against poor old Arsenal. But Ashley, it's just going to be a routine hammering for Arsenal, isn't it?
Probably. I mean, they play at the same time as us, so I don't know. Maybe both teams can put some pressure on Chelsea. Maybe Chelsea can crumble under the new pressure of being title challengers. I don't know. I mean,
I still think Arsenal will want to watch.
You have to do your own work and then hope that the rest kind of sorts out in your favor.
Yeah. Kev, any faith in the crosstown neighbors doing a favor for the Reds?
No, I think they're coming in on the back of a 4-0 win against Wolves, irrespective of how they got that win. But I think the layoff won't have helped them. It's a long time without playing any football, and it'd be interesting to see because there will be pressure. And the other thing as well, Everton we talk about Liverpool being a physically big side. Everton are a big side as well. So it'd be interesting to see how they cope with the set pieces. Because look, as much of a weapon as it is for Arsenal, and it is a huge weapon, if you can take that away from them, then
Fulham show.
I mean, maybe having a week off to work on defending that one set piece that Arsenal does over and over and over again. Maybe Everton can pull it off. I don't know.
I don't know if Dyche has mentioned it, but I hope that managers start using their press conferences to start putting the pressure on referees
for the blocking.
Like Ferguson used to do it brilliantly, and Klopp used to do it as well. Little sly mentions of certain things. But yeah, the amount of blocking that's been done for Arsenal, that Arsenal do and get away with, and as long as they get away with it, I don't blame them. More power to them because they found a loophole and they're getting away with it. But they're getting away with it because managers, for whatever reason, don't say it, and I don't get why they aren't chirping up about putting pressure on referees to spot this, because
probably one of those things that you'll hear back in the summer, we've reviewed and we've seen this, and now there's going to be a rule change. I doubt you see anything in the middle of the season. Maybe if they do speak up.
I think if you speak of it, it's in the head, isn't it? Because
they'll start spotting it. Because I swear to God, they're either not looking at it.
I mean,
they're choosing not to look at it.
I mean, Jamie Carragher was always the funny bomb for this because he used to do it before kickoff, walking past the ref. But all about it, I think Jimmy Carragher's famous line is Fellaini's fucking elbows. That was his famous last word he said every time he walked past the ref when we played Everton or United. First 2 or 3 high balls, he got the free kick. So it does get in refs' heads, and they look for it more. So
yeah. And I just got to ask, Madge Apple, is Gunnersaurus on vacation in Mexico? Because Madge Apple says Gunnersaurus is in Zihuatanejo, which I'm pretty sure is in Mexico. That's a long way to go. Oh, I wonder if that's where the meteor hit. See, Madge is very smart. Madge is very smart. It would be.
That went over my head. Then I was like, okay.
So the meteor came down that killed all the dinosaurs. That's my guess on that one. There, it's not very good luck.
John makes a very good point. Why does set piece coach not get blamed when they concede?
No, see, Shawshank Redemption. That's where they meet up at the end of Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still one of the great.
I'll keep my controversial opinions on that movie to myself for this. But I'll tell you right now, if you don't like that movie, I just think it's extremely overrated. I just think it's like when all the bros got super into bacon. It's like they all got told that the Shawshank Redemption was the best movie in the entire world. I just think it's a great book. It's a good movie. I don't think it's the third best movie of all time. I think that's anywhere even close. It's massively, massively overrated.
It's a good film. Don't get me wrong. I swear to God, Morgan Freeman hasn't made a bad film ever. Morgan Freeman, I could just watch anything that Morgan Freeman makes, and I'll be quite happy.
His name is Red Steve. Red like Santa, Santa like Christmas. Shawshank Redemption very well might be a Christmas movie. But anyways, we've done an hour on a build-up that I thought we were going to get a half an hour out of, especially when Chris just nailed the lineup in 3 seconds. And
sorry about that.
As easy as that. Yeah, no,
I could do anything creative. We haven't got anyone else.
Yeah, well, no, you threw me so much. You couldn't even come up with a creative transition into talking about footballprizes.co.uk. What?
No, it's cool. I just want to come back to this.
Okay. Footballprizes.co.uk. Tomorrow is the final day. It's £3.95 to get a ticket. It is all about super strikers. The Luis Suarez prize is the grand prize, but you've got Jota, Darwin, Fowler, Owen, and I believe Torres jerseys in there as well as insta-win prizes. So you've got until tomorrow if you want to get in on that. Hopefully you get lucky coming up for the Christmas season, because that would make a lovely, lovely gift for any red in your family or just for yourself. And then, of course, we've got our 2 charities, which have been scrolling across the bottom of the screen for the entire show. Fan-supporting food banks, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. Please help us out with a donation if you can. You'll find the GoFundMe link on any of the show descriptions or any of the social medias for the channel. If you can't, take it, share it amongst your friends and family, or just absolute random strangers on whatever social media platform that you use. Help us reach our fundraising targets, because those people are doing absolutely great work, unlike us who just come on here and talk mostly drivel. What was it, Kev?
Madge made the point that she's doing a Shawshank Redemption with leaving certs this year.
I don't know what leaving certs are.
Leaving cert is like the last exam of secondary school. It's like the American equivalent would be the SATs. So when kids do the leaving certs over here, like the UK's equivalent is A levels, and they generally do 4 subjects, sometimes 3, but in Ireland they tend to do 6 to 7, sometimes 8. And the leaving cert is notoriously difficult. It's one of the most difficult state exams there is. Just the German one is probably a bit more difficult, but the Irish one is really, really difficult. And if Shawshank Redemption is on the list for the leaving cert, I'm blown away by that. I just think the film, I think it's phenomenal. It's just one of those things, because it's one of those films, I think, if you got a generation of 17, 18, 19-year-olds sitting down, dissecting that and going through that from their perspective, I'd love to sit. That fascinates me. I'm blown away by that.
That sounds so much cooler than the SATs. Like the SATs are awful.
It is without a doubt the most single stressful experience any Irish teenager goes through. And that's why they all end up in Greece and in Ibiza on the lash afterwards for at least a month.
See, and I thought it was strange that I got to write a university paper on the role of masculinity in Rambo 3, which I was the only person in the class that was familiar with the movie, and it was great. We watched it as a class in university, and everybody was like, this movie's ridiculous. Like, oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's Rambo 3.
Is that the one where It's a tank versus a helicopter in a head-to-head collision.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, I misspoke. It's Rambo 2. It's definitely Rambo 2 where he goes back to Vietnam.
Oh no, Rambo 3 is where he does a one-on-one battle.
Yeah, he goes to Afghanistan.
It's a helicopter versus a tank. I'm like, right, okay, fair enough.
We're getting wildly off track here, and it's getting
very close. Brian has got it right. He's sat there, he's like 10 3-hour papers in a week. It's an endurance test. And people still have dreams about it. I think, Brian, you still have nightmares about it, mate, because and it's worse as a parent. I've had all mine now are through it. And
so is it for every single subject you have like one paper or one test?
No. I imagine be able to explain it more. For English, you have 2 separate papers. For maths, you have 2 separate papers. A lot of subjects is one, but it's more based. It's not really coursework based. Coursework is a certain percentage of your grade. They're trying to increase that, but an awful lot of it comes down to the test on the day. And if you're a kid or a person who tests badly, it's really, really stressful. It's really difficult, but it's almost like seen as a rite of passage now. It's really difficult.
Interesting.
Antigo's trying to get us back on track here by saying that breaking Zubermendi now interested in a move to Liverpool. I will just say, though, I know I've said something controversial about the Shawshank Redemption, but it will always hold an esteemed place in our culture, if for no other reason than it allowed Neil Maupay to put up that fucking Twitter gif when he got out of Everton, because that's one of the funniest things you will ever see.
History.
Absolutely. But yes, thank you everybody for joining us. Sorry for going long, Gab, because he's going to have
a tangent at the end.
Yeah, it's shocker. That's how it works. But we will be back with you. Obviously not Chris, because he's going to the game. Lucky Devil with his lucky socks. Lucky Olivia. So hopefully it's another good experience inside Anfield for Chris going to the match. But Kev and Ashley and myself will be back with you guys after the match. Hit the thumbs up button for us on the way out. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And hopefully we've got another lovely weekend's worth of action to revel in, because the Reds are boss. See ya.